Hello and welcome to my video on the Twilight Princess any percent speedrun, specifically the beginner any percent route for the Wii version. This is the first video in a series of videos on how to complete this route and start your journey as a Twilight Princess speedrunner. So this video is just a quick overview of the things you might be wondering before you even start a run, the things that you might need to do. So I'll be hoping to cover these 6 questions. First one being, how do I get help? What are the possible routes? How is the Wii version different than other versions? Can I speedrun Twilight Princess with the disc that I have? How do I practice the game? And is there anything special about the controls? So before we get started, I'd like to welcome you to the Twilight Princess Speedrunning Community. Speedrunning can be a super fulfilling hobby that can teach you skills like initiative and resilience. It can also introduce you to like-minded people who love the game as much as you do. The Twilight Princess Speedrunning Community consists of people from all around the world with lots of different jobs, including artists, students, parents, musicians, mechanics, teachers, and software developers. So whoever you are, you can speedrun Twilight Princess. So let's get started. The first question you may be asking is, how do I get help if I have any questions? Well, the Twilight Princess community has done a really great job of documenting all of the resources that people have created, and you can find all this information on ZeldaSpeedruns. So if you have any questions at all, you'll likely find the answer on ZSR, and I will also have a slide coming up on how to navigate ZSR. The second place you can turn to is the Twilight Princess Discord server. This is a really good place to go to if you can't find the answer to the question that you're looking for on ZSR. And the best way for you to get advice would be to post a clip of whatever you're trying to do in the relevant channel, and somebody will be able to diagnose what's going on based off of that. So this is a screenshot of the ZSR page for the TP any percent beginner route. On the left-hand side, you'll find the sidebar. So this includes information on the SD routes, so GameCube and Wii. If you're looking for HD routes, those are included on a separate ZSR page. You can also find links to some other useful pages in the sidebar as well, and the next slide will go into a little bit more detail on that. At the top of the route, you'll find the introduction. So this area just includes some quick links to any major tricks that you'll need to complete the run. Also in that red box, you'll find an example run, and we really highly recommend that you follow along with an example run while you're reading ZSR while you're learning. In the yellow box, this is where you can actually find the route itself. So this includes step-by-step, low-detail instructions on how to complete the run. For more detailed instructions, a lot of the tricks are hyperlinked, and there's also a drop-down to find more information. There's an example there that says, go to Orden Spring. You click on that drop-down, it'll give you more information. In the silver box in the route, you'll see a rupee count. So rupee counts are really flexible in the route. There will always be opportunity later on to get more rupees, but it's recommended that you try and stay somewhat close to the numbers that are provided. Also in gold, you'll find notes on the equips. So this is when you need to move items either from the item wheel to a new position or within the actual HUD itself. On the right-hand side, you will find the navigation plane. This is just a quick search for you to find specific segments in the run. All right, so for this slide, I wanted to show off some of the pages that you can navigate to from the sidebar. So the first dropdown we're going to talk about is the general info dropdown. If you click on that, it'll show you all of the pages that are highlighted in the white box. I really recommend the getting started page. general tips, segment reviews, and also common terms and abbreviations. Obviously, you can click through all of these. They're all really interesting and helpful, but those are the 4 that I recommend for beginners. The next dropdown I wanted to talk about is the Dungeons tab. If you click on that, it'll show you all of the dungeons in the game. For the beginner route, we go to all of these except for Goron Mines, Temple of Time, and Cave of Ordeals. You'll also find the Twilights tab boxed in purple. We complete all 3 Twilights in the beginner route. And lastly is the Overworld tab in orange. In every route for TP we visit every map location in the game. So, speaking of routes, what are the possible routes? There are 4 Twilight Princess any percent routes. You might be wondering why there's more than one. Well, the intention of having multiple routes is to prevent new runners from feeling overwhelmed and burnt out. So it's absolutely normal to feel frustrated when learning and practicing tricks, but we just want to make a note that it's important to listen to your body. And if you find that you're getting really frustrated, it's important to take breaks as needed. So the 4 routes are compounded, which means that the major tricks that you learn in each route will be in the following routes as you continue. Some people begin with the beginner route, which this series is on, and some people like to begin with the optimal route, and some people start with the intermediate routes. It's completely up to you. So let's take a look at what routes exist. This table here is ordered by route difficulty, starting with the beginner route, followed by the first intermediate route, which is called Zora Armor route, and then followed by the second intermediate route, which is called Forest ELH, and then the optimal route being Farron Escape. If you are looking at ZSR and you see a 5th route in there, that route is called Bite ELH. And as of March 2026, the optimal route has changed from Bite ELH to the Farron Escape route. So Bite ELH is really unique and quite different than the 4 routes in this slide. So we don't usually put it as an intermediate route. If you're interested in learning it, you can absolutely do so. But since it's so unique, we don't really include it in this timeline of routes that you can play working up to the optimal route. The next question you may be asking is, how is the Wii version of Twilight Princess different than the GameCube version? Well, if you watch a Wii run, you'll notice that the Wii version is mirrored in comparison to the GameCube route. And the reason for that is that when they made the Wii version, they wanted to accommodate the Wii remote being used or held in the right hand of the players. So since Link is left-handed, he's left-handed in the GameCube version and right-handed in the Wii version. The other major difference between the two is that the Wii version cannot do boomerang long jump attacks. So the reason for that is that when you pull sword with on the Wii version, you use a motion input, or you shake the Wii remote, whereas on the GameCube version, you press the B button. And when you shake the Wii remote or use that motion input, it breaks the target on the boomerang, which makes the trick impossible to perform on Wii. On the Wii version, we do complete a couple enemy LJ tricks, but the boomerang LJ is not used. Okay, a couple other differences here. The Wii version can do first frame moon boots. So this is a trick that's used in Snow Peak Ruins in the intermediate and optimal routes. Also, the Wii version cannot do C up plus A item cancels. You'll notice this when you learn Pogate Clip. So the Pogate Clip setup is different on the Wii version than the GameCube version. So if you're watching the tutorial for the GameCube version, it will not work on the Wii version. And then the third difference on this slide is that the Wii version cannot do L slides. L slides are a strat that's used during the CAD for Stallard Skip. So since we cannot do L slides, we cannot perform Stallard Skip. So you are interested in running Twilight Princess, you have your disc, and you're ready to start playing. But there are a few different versions of Twilight Princess Wii that exist. The first two that I'll mention here are North America 1.0, I'll call it NA 1.0 and NA 1.2. The third version is the PAL version, and the fourth is JP, fifth is Korean. So North America is actually the only region that has multiple versions. So if you're in North America, it's important that you check which version you have. But saying that, all of these versions can complete the beginner route, so it doesn't truly matter which version you have if you're only interested in running the beginner route. It's only once you move on to the intermediate and optimal that it matters which disc you have. So NA 1.0 is the optimal disc to use, or the optimal version to use for most glitch categories. And the reason for that is that it has the most working glitches. I won't go over these tables much in detail since it's a ton of information, but feel free to pause the video and you can check out the slide on your own. So like I said, it's important for you to know which version of Twilight Princess Wii you have. And we have some information on ZSR. I stole this slide completely from ZSR, so I'll link that in the description as well. You can also pause the video and take a look at which version you have using these instructions. So now that you know which version of the game disc you have, you might be wondering whether it's better to speedrun on a Wii or a Wii U. Well, you can run all routes on both consoles. And when you play the beginner route, it's only barely slower to run on a Wii U versus a Wii. And the reason why it's barely slower is that on the Wii console itself, you'll notice that there's a reset button, which we can use to hard reset the game. Whenever we do a save warp, we use that button, but on the Wii U, there is no reset button, which means that we have to go into the Wii home menu and use the reset button from there. This isn't a huge deal for the beginner route and only loses a few seconds, but there are some implications for this change when you get to the intermediate and optimal routes when Back in Time and Back in Time Equipped are introduced. But for now, it's not really that big of a deal. I'll also mention that the Wii U is a little bit more challenging to homebrew than the Wii, but I'll include resources in the description on both of those processes. In order to practice the game, we really recommend using TPGZ, or GZ for short. So GZ is a practice ROM that was created and has been maintained and used by the community for many years. To run GZ, you'll need a homebrewed Wii or Wii U with a USB loader app installed. We typically recommend WiiFlow Lite, but in some cases, USB Loader GX can work as well. To install GZ, you'll need three things. The first is an ISO file of the game. Please, 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 please do not come into the TP Discord and ask for ISO files or links to ISO files for the game. The server does not endorse or condone piracy, and the community cannot provide that for you. To make an ISO file of your game legally, you can do so using a homebrew app called CleanRip. The second thing that you'll need is a ROM hack patcher, and the third thing is a patch file. You can find information on where to find these and also how to use them on ZSR. If you run into any snags along the way, please feel free to message the TP Discord and somebody would be able to help you. Once you have your patched ROM, you'll need to convert it to a WBFS file, and you can do that using Wii Backup Manager. At this point, you can launch GZ through an SD card with WiiFlow Lite. In some cases, you may find that it is more efficient for you to practice with save states. In this case, we recommend that you launch GZ through Dolphin. However, I will note that sometimes there are some difficulties with having your Wii Remote connect to your PC or stay connected to your PC. In these cases, having a Bluetooth adapter can be really useful. So now that you have GZ ready, you may be wondering how you actually use it. There's a really awesome video that Beast made on how to use GZ efficiently for practice, and I'll link it in the description of this video. Some tools that I really like to use are Area Reload, Input Viewer, Link Debug, and Teleport, and I have these tools set to auto be on when I launch GZ because of how often I use them. Some cheats that I like as well are Infinite Health, Infinite Bombs, Invincible, and Transform Anywhere, and I use these pretty frequently. I will mention that in Beast's video, he talks about using mem files for a little bit. Mem files work really well in the GameCube version, but they are a little bit buggy in the Wii version of GZ. I'm just mentioning it. If you find that it's working a little bit wonky, that's why. In a lot of cases, you can get around the wonkiness of mem files by using other features. So whether or not this is your first time speedrunning with a Wii Remote and nunchuk, I wanted to include a few special points about using those controllers. I'm not going to read the slide because it's a lot of information, so feel free to pause the video and read it if you're interested. I'll also include a link in the description on the ZSR page that has a little bit more information as well. I will mention the rechargeable batteries point because I think that that one is really important for beginners. It can save you a lot of money in the long run to have a battery charging station and also a few rechargeable batteries that you can swap in and out of your Wii Remote. It's a super huge bummer to have your run die because your batteries died halfway through. So try to remember to check the charge of your batteries before you start a run. And you can do this by pressing the home menu button on your Wii Remote. Alrighty, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments below or in the TP Discord channel. In the next video, I'll be starting the route with the first segment and going into some detail on how I like to do things. But good luck and have fun with the learning, and hopefully this helped.